lead suspect in Ahmed Suale murder case discharged for lack of evidence.
The District Road Improvement Program, DRIP, facing funding challenges to power its equipment.
Also coming up, Vice President Professor Jinan Upoko-Ajiman urges residents living along the Volta Lake to wear life jackets when traveling on the Volta Lake.
And later in business, finance and tax experts project Cedi to conclude the year at 11 to 12 cedis per dollar, driven by strong Bank of Ghana interventions and export performances.
In international news, elite military unit says it has seized power in Madagascar from President André Rajoelina following weeks of youth-led protests.
We're live around the world on 3news.com. We always love to hear from you in the comment section, so do make your comments available because we are streaming on Facebook and on YouTube.
We're beginning from the courts. The Medina District Court has discharged the lead suspect in the murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Suale. Daniel Owusu-Kranting, an investigative journalist, had been charged with abetment of crime and murder in connection with the death. He pleaded not guilty and was on a 50,000 Ghana cedi bail. Lord Eduasare reports.
Daniel Owusu-Kranting was arraigned before the Medina District Court on March 19 following his arrest. Prosecution alleged that he led two other alleged culprits currently at large to the home of Ahmed Suale, where he was eventually shot and killed by unknown assailants. In court on Tuesday, October 14, prosecution led by Nanefua Bamfo informed the court that they had been directed by the Attorney General to discontinue the case. Following the prosecution's withdrawal, presiding judge Susan Nyakote then ordered that Daniel Owusu-Kranting be discharged and disposed of the case. Counsel for Owusu, led by Emma Jean Markin, expressed satisfaction at the development but chastised the prosecution.
I think that we were abandoning things that happened 2019, which is something that we cannot do in this matter. In 2019, when this issue happened, a lot of things happened. Several arrests have been made. Have we ever heard of anybody being paraded around the way Daniel Owusu-Kranting was paraded around? Has it ever been heard? But there have been several arrests. If there was more work done, like the way some media houses were saying FBI investigations, it would certainly not be pointing at my clients, because you would have known that the gentleman was all the time in the country.
She further disclosed that Daniel's mental health had been impacted by the case.
After the arrest, after his bail, he's even having to seek medical attention. He's had a lot of emotional trauma. It's not been easy, even for us as lawyers.
The Attorney General discontinued the case due to one, lack of sufficient evidence to continue the prosecution of Daniel. He indicated that the sketch which was available to the police did not match with the description of the lead suspect, Daniel Owusu-Kranting. Another thing that came up was that although his phone was pinged at the location where Ahmed Suale was killed, that is in itself is not enough for him to be prosecuted or held for his murder.
It remains to be seen what direction the murder trial of investigative journalist Ahmed Suale will take, as his assailants appear to be gone with the wind.
Well, let's bring you a timeline of events on the Ahmed Suale murder case. We'll bring that to you on your screens shortly. On January 16, 2019, if you recall, Ahmed Suale was shot by unidentified motorbike assailants in Medina. Following that, the Ghana Police Service formed a 13-member committee to investigate. Suale's family accused MP Kennedy Ejapon of inciting the murder, which he denied. And then in February 2019, CID director at the time, Director General Mamiya Tiwa Dodankwa reported significant progress in the case, though no details were provided. And then on March 29, 2021, the former IGP met with the Attorney General regarding unresolved homicides, including Suale's, and received a CID report. On July 27, 2021, Attorney General Godfrey Yeboadame informed Parliament that no prosecutable docket had been submitted and noted that his follow-up with then IGP James Opombuenu, 5 years after the murder, the Attorney General reiterated that no prosecutable dossier had been presented. In March 2025, which is earlier this year, Daniel Owusu-Kranting, aka Akwesi Amache, a former associate at Tiger IPI, was arrested upon returning from the UK after previously evading police summons. And then during investigations, evidence and witness testimony linked Kranting to providing photographs taken with Suale. Now, these images were later used by MP Kennedy Ejepon, fueling accusations that he incited violence against Suale. Kranting, however, has consistently denied selling the photos. In March of this year, on the 19th, Kranting was arraigned at the Medina District Court on murder charges, and he was remanded into custody with the case adjourned until April 1. Now, Daniel Owusu-Kranting was denied bail by the Medina District Court on April 1 after the prosecution amended the charge sheet. Now, May 13, 2025, he was granted bail by the Accra High Court after being denied bail by the Medina District Court. In August, the Medina District Court ordered the prosecution to finalize investigations and file the bail of indictment, which brings us to today. The Medina District Court discharged Daniel Owusu-Kranting following the Attorney General's advice to discontinue prosecution due to insufficient evidence linking him directly to the crime.
So obviously it's been a long, winding journey, but now we have evidence of what the Attorney General has said about the Ahmed Suale case. Subsequently, we'll update you on what else comes up. Let's go to Parliament now, because the minority in the House has kicked against assertions by the Health Minister that the past government, that is the NPP government, is responsible for the high number of unpaid nurses and midwives in the country. Ranking member on the Health Committee, Dr. Ayu Ifriye, says a financial clearance was granted for over 15,000 health workers, criticizing government for what he describes as leadership failure. Christian Yale has more.
Nurses and midwives embarked on street protest for unpaid salaries. Their frustrations and agitations were laid bare, prompting widespread concerns. The health minister in a media engagement said government inherited a difficult situation but is working to right the wrongs of the past administration.
We inherited a situation where about 13,500 nurses and midwives had been recruited and posted without financial clearance. When a financial clearance is issued, you must necessarily migrate the health professionals onto the payroll before the expiration of the clearance. And so we had two options as government: whether to let all the 13,500 nurses and midwives go home. And the second option was to allow them to continue to work whilst we look at how we can get money to pay them.
But the minority would not have any of that, calling the minister's comment non-factual.
All those who the ministry recruited with regards to this clearance had their 5 months salaries from July, August, September, October. Now the difference is that the ministry was able to do its validations and they did it spot on. This clearance expired on the 31st December in item 7. Now, in normal public administration and civil service of this country, financial clearances expire. Even under this government, they will have financial clearances expire and they will go for extension. They did not extend this for political reasons. And then 10 months down, they faced an embarrassment where the students or the staff went on a public agitation, demonstration, to draw your mind to this clearance and the need for extension. Embarrassing enough You are saying that you've taken it to cabinet for an approval. What sort of cabinet do you have to take for an approval when you have a clearance already?
The minority is saying that, see, they have been very reasonable over the period and seen to it that they would extend a goodwill, not to even the government of the day, but to the ordinary Ghanaian citizens who need healthcare facilities or services for their daily living. But they just realized that government is, in a way, making the whole situation political, for which reason they have seen the need to respond to this.
You're throwing that in the eyes of the people. So government created a mess. And they've seen 10 months, it's caught up on them, and they are fixing it. And that's when you take political decisions. You see, the minority, we are a reasonable minority. We cannot continue to be reasonable when you take the youth of this country for granted. The youth of this country matter, Ghanaians matter, nurses matter, and midwives also matter. Government should come and tell us that there was no clearance. There was, it expired. And they should tell us if indeed in public administration there has not been clearance which had expired and has been extended. It's not news. They should pay them now because the money was allocated. They should pay them now.
With the politics playing out and each side seeking to make their case, the stranded and frustrated health workers have only a wish that their salaries are paid and conditions made better. Christian Yali, TV3 News, Parliament.
Moving on, after a roller coaster ride in recent months, the Ghanaian cedi is once again on a strong upward path, gaining more value against the US dollar within just a month. On the international market, the local currency is currently trading at around 11.40 to the dollar, although Bank of Ghana interbank rates still hover around 11.94 cedis. Market analysts have attributed the sharp appreciation to the central bank's recent injection of $1.15 billion in foreign exchange into the economy, coupled with heightened speculative activities on the forex market. The BOG's move, aimed at boosting liquidity and easing import pressures ahead of the Christmas season, appears to have improved sentiments around the city, with total foreign reserves now estimated at $10.74 billion, providing about 4.5 months of import cover. The intervention is expected to stabilize prices, sustain confidence, and maintain relative exchange rate stability through the festive period. Now, my colleague Martin Asiedu-Dartey is at the magic wall to bring us more on that. Martin, how would you say the cedi is doing currently?
The cedi is doing very well. It's actually quite healthy, and it's interesting you use the word roller coaster because it's not been an easy ride for the cedi. So we'll look at what exactly the cedi has been through. And this graph here paints a picture of what the cedi has been through right from the middle of this year, or let's say May 2025, when the cedi was around 15 cedis. It started a huge depreciation run, or it started dropping quite rapidly, and many attributed this to the new government that had come into power, the NDC government. And then the question started coming, what exactly is going on to the cedi? What's happening? Because we seem to be doing well all of a sudden. And the president spoke and said that the cedi will find its true value around 12 Ghana cedis to the dollar. And coincidentally, just when it had hit 9, 10 there, I beg your pardon, 10 from 11, then it started rising gradually, hit about 12.5, and then stabilized, stood there for a while. Then it brought that understanding. The president said that the cedi will find its true value. Many economists indicated that had the cedi continued its downward spiral, where we're looking at probably 9 cedi to the dollar or 8 cedi to the dollar, it would have its own effect on the economy. So this is where many economists say the cedi's true value currently stands. But over the last few days, the Bank of Ghana decided to inject this amount of money, $1.15 billion, into the economy because of the period we are in. We are inching closer to the Christmas period, so a lot of importers would need forex or foreign exchange to bring in many of the things we use during Christmas. And so just the announcement of this and the action of actually releasing this amount into the economy, The cedi has moved from 12 and then gradually getting to 11. So today, as we speak, if you go to the Forex tomorrow, you're likely to get it around 11.4 or 11.5, depending on where you buy your dollar from. So this is the amount government injected into the economy. And why did they decide to do that? Because coincidentally, as a country, our reserves seem to be quite stable. So Ghana currently, as of August 2025, has $10.74 billion in our reserves. So, which means that if you take all that amount of money we have in our reserves, we look at how much we need for monthly imports into the country, this amount would take us for about 4.5 months or 4.5 months of import cover. And based on that, government decided to take some amount from it and inject this amount. So 1.5 was taken from this 10 billion. A year ago, that was somewhere in December, this was our total import cover, 8.9 billion, which was really scary because it meant that we had just about 2 months of import cover, 2 to 3 months of import cover, but now we've appreciated significantly. And when that amount of money is released into the economy, this is what happens, the cascading effect. So Bank of Ghana releases the money, it sort of stabilizes the cedi, and then it gives Forex, makes it available for investors and importers to quickly go so that easy access to the Forex, import things because we are in the last quarter of the year so we can get our Christmas goods. And what impact does it have on your pocket? It means that at least whatever it is you're going to be buying, you're going to have a stable price period for a longer period of time. So primarily, this decision by the Bank of Ghana and the Finance Minister is going to ensure that throughout the Christmas period, hopefully into the first quarter of next year, we should be okay when it comes to money and the economy. Aisha?
Martin, we are generally happy that the cedi is making some gains, especially because we are entering the festive season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to education now. The Ministry for Education is taking steps to address the pressure on top-performing senior high schools across the country. Education Minister Haruna Iddrisu says plans are underway to secure funding for the expansion of Category A school infrastructure starting next year.
The computerized school placement system continues to face criticism from students and parents. Many families are frustrated after their wards fail to gain admission to Category A schools institutions that remain in high demand but have limited capacity. Speaking at the inauguration of governing councils for the College of Education in Accra, the minister said government is committed to reducing these challenges by increasing intake capacity in top-tier schools.
76,000 vacancies of Category A, 393 desirous applicants. Given this, every other person would have struggled. But at least we owe the learners an opportunity that they can progress in their career from basic schools to secondary education and to aspire to taste tertiary education.
The minister also emphasized government's resolve to improve the quality of teacher education nationwide. He officially inaugurated new governing councils for the various colleges of education.
I'm aware of your infrastructure deficit and will do better in the coming days. Even if resources were available, we would make more resources available to the colleges of education. I know a number of the institutions, even vehicles to travel and to undertake basic visits to educational institutions is lacking. I know some of the institutional heads are using vehicles as old as 18 years. That is not good enough.
In a related development, Haruna Iddrisu announced that government has approved the payment of the book and research allowance for the academic staff in the colleges. The Education Ministry says it will continue working with key stakeholders to enhance access, equity, and quality across Ghana's education system.
In more news this evening, the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, has urged residents living along the Volta Lake to ensure the wearing of life jackets anytime they want to cross the lake. She has, on behalf of government, given over 600 life jackets to the people. The Vice President was in Ekuman, where a canoe capsized, resulting in the loss of lives of 15 people, 11 of whom were children.
On Saturday, October 11, a wooden canoe capsized on the Volta Lake in the Kitikrachi district of the Oti region, killing 15 people, 11 of whom were children. They were said to be mourners from Boveme, a small fishing village, who had travelled to Okuman for a funeral. The Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, on Tuesday visited the people in Kitikrachi to commiserate with them. She told the people they are not alone in this time of grief and assured them of government's support. Let us all support and work together to ensure this type of accident becomes a thing of the past. She asked them to always use the life jackets anytime they cross the river in order to save lives. The owners of canoes and other commercial transport leaders should always ensure people wear the life jackets. We will bring more of them to ensure everyone gets to use them. On behalf of government, she donated over 600 life jackets and other relief items to support the bereaved and affected persons.
Lack of dedicated funding sources for fuel to power equipment meant for the District Road Improvement Program DRIP is hampering the initiative. Inner community roads remain in poor condition, while the Kwewu-Afram Plains North and South districts struggle to keep up with maintenance demands.
The NPP administration introduced the District Road Improvement Program DRIP to improve road infrastructure at the local level. The initiative aims to boost economic growth, create jobs and improve access to essential services such as healthcare and education by connecting rural and remote areas. However, the assemblies are unable to fully utilize the equipment due to the absence of dedicated funding for fueling and maintenance. In the Kwewu-Afram Plains North and South districts, the situation is particularly dire. Roads have become impassable, prolonging travel time, increasing transport fares and damaging vehicles. Residents say they are overwhelmed by the worsening state of roads and the government's slow pace in addressing the problem.
Machines are here that we could use for our routes, but we don't know what's happening at the top there. So the routes are still not done.
Our routes are not good. They will come and tell us here that they will do it for us. Then we vote for them. After that, no, you don't see them again.
To bring some relief, the district chief executives of Kwewu-Afram Plains North and South have joined forces to rehabilitate their main trunk roads using the available DRIP equipment. This was after they solicited for funds from community members.
There was no allocation for this the reshaping, but God being so good, we came together and we appealed to philanthropists and then some good friends somewhere to support us with fuel. The machines are in good shape. Once they are in good shape, what we needed is fuel, and then monies that will give it to the operators and then the drivers to work on the road. And yes, work is ongoing. Work is ongoing. Even though there are challenges, at times we run out of funds, we have to go and then re-appeal again for funds. But we are not giving up.
District Chief Executive for Kwewu-Afram Plains South, Moses Tangbe, urged for allocation in the next year's District Assembly Common Fund.
No, the Common Fund that came, we have allocation for each sector. When you go into it, you see an allocation for markets, allocation for education, allocation for health, and then legacy projects, and then furniture and other things, school furniture and other things. But there was no an allocation for routes, something like reshaping of routes, and then Greek, so that next year allocation of common fund, they will factor all these things.
National Coordinator for DRIP, Edwin Nilante van der Poel, further explains the importance of the proposed funding structure to sustain the program's objectives.
A lot of these wonderful, viable initiatives were done or were started by government. But because the people who were entrusted with the responsibility of managing these things, we did not have the right attitude and the right mindset, they failed. We don't want to go through that part. We don't want to also fail.
As rural Ghana continues to depend heavily on feeder and community roads for its livelihood, the sustainability of the DRIP initiative remains crucial. Stanley Niblew, TV3 News, Tiase, Eastern Region.
It's not every day you hear of customers smiling when officials from a utility company come knocking. The Ghana Water Company Limited is showing up not to disconnect, but to say thank you, maybe to a set and also to set new standards. Noble Crosby and joined the team and has come through with this report.
At a time when many dread the knock of a utility officer, a few households and businesses have received something rare: appreciation. Some customers within the Accra East region of the Ghana Water Company Limited are being recognized not for defaulting, but for doing the right thing. For most people, paying bills is just another obligation. You pay and move on. But imagine being thanked for it. That's exactly what is happening here.
So we want everybody to learn from your dedication and commitment to the growth of Ghana Water by paying their water bills on time. So we value you so much.
Thank you, Ghana Water, for coming to visit me.
It's not every day that paying your water bill earns you recognition. Yet, for some loyal customers in the Accra East region, that simple act of consistency has brought unexpected rewards. The tokens may be modest, a mention or a handshake, but the message behind them feels significant. A shift in tone between citizens and service providers. Beneficiaries say the gesture will motivate them to stay disciplined.
Thank you very much for doing this for your customers. It would encourage others to keep paying.
The appreciation wasn't reserved for only low-income customers. Major commercial clients including Kempinski Hotel, Labadi Beach Hotel, Villaggio, African Regent Hotel, Accra Brewery Limited, and Guinness Ghana Breweries also received recognition, much to their surprise.
We haven't had this before in the past, and I think this goes a long way to show the commitment you have as a company towards your loyal customers. Loyalty is key in retention, customer retention, and it goes a long way to strengthen their relationship. Of course, the bills will always be paid on time.
They say good behavior needs no reward, but for these customers, a simple thank you has made all the difference. For the Accra East Regional Manager Richard Apia Otu, this initiative is about creating a ripple effect, inspiring responsibility through recognition.
And we use this story as an illustration to inspire other customers across the country to make sure that their duty is to make sure that they pay on time, report leakages and faults and illegal connection, for us to attend to these issues so that we can always serve them well and on time.
Very unusual of a company to go around to say thank you for doing your duty, right? Very unusual. Commendations to Ghana Water for that. Just to watching News 360, stay with us. Business, sports and entertainment coming up. Welcome back to News 360. Let's do business now. A finance and tax expert, Nelson Kujo Kwagbeji, has projected the Cedi to maintain its current stability, forecasting an end-of-year exchange rate situated between 11 and 12 cedis per dollar. The positive outlook is contingent on two critical factors: the Bank of Ghana's sustained intervention strategy and the favorable performance of global commodity markets.
Ghana's local currency on a firm rebound, strengthening sharply over the past 2 weeks on the back of strong central bank actions and rising export inflows. At the close of last week, the Bank of Ghana quoted the dollar at 11 cedis 90 pesos on the interbank market, while forex bureaus opened the week selling the dollar at around 13 cedis 30 pesos. According to Databank research, the Cedi appreciated nearly 2% against the dollar, 2.3% against the euro, and 2.5% against the British pound on the interbank market. The gains were even stronger at the retail end, where the Cedi advanced 3.4% against the dollar and over 5% against the pound. Finance and tax expert and head of finance at Merben Capital, Nelson Kujo Kwagbeji, attributes local and external factors.
As at the end of September, the total gross international reserves stood at $10.7 billion, which represent about 4.5 months of import cover. Another factor that is giving strength to the Cedi has to do with the continuous market support by the Bank of Ghana. We have seen in the recent past that the Bank of Ghana has injected so much FX into the market in order to support market activity. I believe that the Ghana Cedi may be situated within 11 to 12 Ghana Cedis by the close of the year.
Despite the current success, significant underlying risks cloud the long-term outlook.
The prices of gold, the prices of crude, and the prices of cocoa, they are determined at the international market. And so any volatility in the international market regarding the prices of these commodities may significantly impact our reserve. I believe that the government in general has to focus more on diversification of the economy. We need to move away from the exportation of raw materials to an exportation of value-added, commodities.
Most recently, the BOG planned a further $1.15 billion injection to support the forex market, demonstrating a commitment to currency stability.
The Bank of Ghana has introduced a stricter sanctioning regime to curb the rising incidence of dud checks in the banking sector. Under the new directive, individuals and businesses who issue bounced checks will face heavy financial penalties, be reported to credit bureaus, and risk being banned from issuing checks for up to 3 years. There's more in this report.
The Bank of Ghana has revised its sanctioning regime on the issuance of dud checks, warning that persistent offenders will face severe consequences. In a statement issued on Wednesday, October 14, the central bank said the decision follows a worrying rise in the number of bounced checks, which it described as undermining public confidence in check transactions. Under the new framework, customers who issue a dud check for the first time will be fined 10 per check's face value and placed under surveillance for at least 1 year. A second offense within the same year attracts a 15% penalty, while a third offense comes with a 20% levy and an automatic 3-year ban from issuing checks. Offenders will also be reported to credit reference bureaus and denied access to new loans for a year. The Bank of Ghana further warned that banks must recall all unused checkbooks from banned customers and report those who fail to return them. The central bank says it may publish a directory of high-risk check issuers to guide financial institutions and safeguard the integrity of Ghana's payment system.
In more business news this evening, the second edition of the National Boardroom Governance Summit has taken place in Accra. In attendance were some of the country's top boardroom leaders, CEOs, and governance experts. The aim is to explore how bold ethical leadership will drive long-term organizational and national growth.
This year's summit themed Daring to be Different. The role of the chairperson in effective boardroom governance focused on the evolving role of chairpersons in driving effective governance across both private and public sectors. The convener, Professor Douglas Boateng, emphasized some of the boardroom challenges and highlighted the critical role of board chairs, not just as figureheads, but as transformational leaders.
Leadership begins when we move from ceremony to consequence. Chairs and directors must be paid well, fairly for their work, risk and exposure, but credibly and openly. Benchmark to responsibility, results and personal risk. Serving state-owned institutions is a national duty.
Speaking at the summit, the Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah, emphasized the importance of bold and informed leadership in driving sustainable progress. He stressed that resilient governance structures are essential for national development.
Sound boardroom governance determines whether strategy becomes success or another shelved ambition. When boards are transparent, accountable, and professionally run, capital becomes confident, jobs multiply, and institutions grow in resilience. Weak governance, however, invites inefficiency and public mistrust.
Panelists urged boardroom members to adhere to good corporate governance practices. They further stressed that board chairpersons adopt accountability and disciplinary strategies in order to ensure national development. They also urged the government to build frameworks, merit-based policies to regulate and ensure proper evaluation and accountability.
Well, let's bring you what the Forex is looking like, the performance of the Cedi against the major trading currencies and the commodities market. That's it for business on News 360. We have sports right after this. Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. We start off from a very dramatic day in the World Cup qualifiers in Africa, where South Africa, Nigeria and Benin went head-to-head for an automatic slot in the qualifiers. However, it was Victor Osimhen who delivered a masterclass as Nigeria stormed to a dramatic 4-0 win over Benin, sealing a crucial place in the CAF World Cup qualification playoffs in sensational fashion. Before the game, Nigeria knew that they needed to win to stand any chance of qualification to the next round. The Super Eagles needed to win and hope that South Africa do not win. However, once South Africa were leading and went on to win by 3-0 against Rwanda, it meant that Nigeria could only qualify for the playoffs once they win by 4-0. They kept on pushing and finally got that fourth goal with about 12 minutes remaining as the Super Eagles sealed their place in the CAF playoffs. And so that is how the standings look like for the race for the playoffs. Remember that because Eritrea did not play in the playoffs, CAF sent a message to all 54 member associations in the African region that there are 2 games against the team that finishes bottom in their group. All points and goals gained in those 2 games will be scrapped. And so that's why you see Nigeria playing 8 games instead of 10, Burkina 8 instead of 10, Gabon also playing tonight. And so this is how things look after the deductions were made with each respective team against the bottom place team. And so that fell right in place for Nigeria because they actually moved from 8th place to 3rd to qualify thanks to that rule change. And so they would head into the playoff, which we played in Morocco. 2 games in a semi-final, a final, and the winner would then cross over into the Boardroom. That would be the playoffs that will be played for the intercontinental playoff for the winner from CAF, and then there would be representatives from the different continents making 6 teams, and 2 from that would finally qualify for the World Cup. And so we're bringing you more updates on that as well. However, the Ghana Football Association has officially launched the maiden edition of the Elite Under-19 Championships, which will take place at the Ghana Soccer Center of Excellence in Pram. The championship is targeted at unearthing talent in the country. My colleague Nana Kweku Anderson has more in the following report.
The 11-day tournament is set to feature 10 regional football association under-19 teams and will take place from October 23rd to November 2nd, 2025. The competition provides a vital platform for second division and regional level players to showcase their abilities, gain valuable experience, and attract the attention of national youth teams, elite academies, and professional clubs. Chairman of the championship, Ede Magbana, believes the initiative will make a lasting impact.
This tournament is targeted at players who were born in 2007 and 2008 and players who are currently registered with and playing with Division 2 teams across the country. And it will be the best opportunity for us to unearth the next generation.
The championship forms part of the Ghana Football Association's broader Power to the Youth policy and aligns with key national and international football development programs, including the FIFA Talent Development Scheme, the Elite Academies Project, and the Catch Them Young Refereeing Program.
And create platforms that will allow the youth of our country, boys and girls, to realize their dreams. The whole idea, obviously, is to create the needed platform, opportunity for our youth, not only to be identified, but to be offered a chance to develop their talents.
The tournament is expected to be a significant milestone in Ghana's football development pathway, combining grassroots participation with elite performance and setting the stage for the discovery of the country's next generation of football stars.
Well, that was a report there by Nana Kweku Anderson. My name is Ori Kwampo for wrapping up the sports segment here on News 360.
Well, good evening and welcome to the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko. Now, the build-up to the GMB Grand Finale is on and the stakes have never been higher. Now, Sakya, a three-time Star Performer winner, is more determined than ever. Now, she believes nothing can stand in her way as she sets her sights firmly on the crown. Now, just 22 years old, Asiedu is hoping to end the 12-year drought and bring home the Upper East region's second GMB title.
And food. My people, we will stay here. We will stay here.
Growing up, I had the chance of meeting Queen Poka. I was privileged to be part of the selected students to visit her. The very first time I saw Queen Poka, I was amazed. To me, a little girl, she looked just like an angel to me. I told her, Queen, I want to be like you. And then she told me, go to school, read your books, and you would get there. And today, voila.
She's beautiful, smart, and eloquent. Born Asakia Hawawu Hanan, Asakia described GMB as a great learning curve, noting the grooming process has boosted her self-esteem.
It wasn't a one-time thing. Last year I tried. I made it to top 32. Unfortunately for me, I didn't make it past that stage. But you know, I don't give up, not at all. So I came back this year, and fortunately, God was on my side and I was selected to represent my region. It's been a journey, yes.
The Upper East region won the GMB crown in 2013. After 12 years of unsuccessful campaign, Asakia, aged 22, goes into the grand finale hopeful of repeating history and winning the crown back for the Upper East region.
So the Upper East region has just one crown, and it was won by Queen Poker. It tells me that it doesn't matter how long it takes, all you have to do is to psych yourself, put in your best, and maybe, just maybe, you might be the lucky one to do what others couldn't do.
Asakia, a 3-time winner of the Star Performer Award, is convinced absolutely nothing can stand in her way or stop her from going for gold.
I have had 20 nominations, 5 awards, 3 star performance, 1 best model, and 1 most eloquent. And it didn't come easy, but I'm so proud, so proud of myself, my team, and so grateful to TV3 for this platform.
The broadcast journalist is excited about the grand prize, noting thoughts of the coveted crown, the plush car, and bragging rights urges her to work harder.
So God willing, on Sunday, the question I asked myself is, what can Asakia do differently? What has the world not seen yet? So on Sunday, expect something you can't imagine.
What does winning the crown mean to her?
Winning this crown is hope for that little girl that has tried and failed several times. Winning the crown is hope for my people. Winning the crown is hope for that little girl in me, to tell me that indeed all the hard work and efforts didn't go to waste.
It certainly would be a keenly contested grand finale, but Asakia is hoping to end the 12 years unsuccessful campaign and win the Upper East region's 2nd GMB crown.
Mal Bennett, I am going to mash him like a kenke and drink him like a kulukuli.
And that's it for the Sewa News segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko.
Noella wanted to say it's the kuli kuli for me. That's it for our package. Thank you for watching. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey.
And I am Ayisha Yakubu. Good evening.